The Code Enforcement Division within the Department of Development Services is focused on helping keep Galveston a beautiful and safe place to live. Things like trimmed bushes, freshly cut lawns, and safe neighborhoods are all important goals for the Code Enforcement Division.
Hi there, my name is Ron Penn. I'm the Code Enforcement Supervisor for the Code Enforcement Division of the City of Galveston. In the Code Enforcement Division, the goals are basically to address quality of life issues, to help to improve the health and safety and welfare of the citizens of Galveston Island. I read years ago, it's called the broken window syndrome. And the theory is if you have 5 or 6 houses on one side of a block, one person starts not maintaining their property, has a lot of broken windows, then the house next door, all of a sudden they have a broken window, they decide not to take care of it. Then it's sort of a domino effect. So in reverse, the broken window syndrome is if that person decides to repair those windows, to keep their grass maintained, to paint their house, then all of a sudden the domino effect is reversed. So then you don't want to be the only one on that block, that your house looks substandard from the outside. You want to maintain it. And it works, it really does. After the storm, landscaping in the right-of-way was sort of put to the side. People were allowed to pretty much do anything they want. In some intersections, you have a really nice 4 or 5-year-old sago palm that's 5 feet from the intersection, but you can't see a car coming. They're going to get notified to remove that or trim it. And obviously, if you're coming to an intersection and there's a stop sign, you can't see it's there. We address those issues as much as we can on our surveys, plus on a complaint notice. Obviously, that could end up in a loss of life from a deadly crash in an intersection.
Galveston has so much to offer: beautiful neighborhoods, higher education institutions, healthcare entities, maritime industry, and much, much more. By working together, we can preserve the historical, cultural, and aesthetic value of our landscape, something that we all truly treasure. Keeping all these in mind, code enforcement is not just interested in making things look neat and uniform. Their primary goal is to keep the community safe, island-wide.
We're at 3916 Avenue N and a half today. It's a house that was called to our attention for having several violations. One of the first violations that you notice when we get here is a junk car. It's been here apparently for a long time. As you can see, it's got flat tires and it's got grass growing up under it. All of these things are a violation of various codes of the city of Galveston. One of them being monopolizing the curb in a junk vehicle. Normally this would be taken care of by the police department. We would have to take care of the lawnmower that's been dumped here in the right-of-way also. Approaching the front of the house, the grass in front of the house is above the 9-inch maximum that's allowed under our law. It has to be 9 inches or below, so that's a violation. The reason it is a violation is because the high grass detracts from the house and the property values of the neighbors because of that. And you go a little further in there, you can see that the grass has gotten even higher in the fence. All of this is detracting from the property itself and is violation. Stray cats, animals such as possums and other critters can get in there, and it just becomes a haven for them. As you can see, looking at the front of the house itself, you can see that there's holes in the roof. You can see the fascia and the other and the soffit is all starting to rot away. It's eventually going to start falling down if it hasn't already. There's nobody at the house, so people will enter the property that don't belong there. It could be children, it could be people up to no good. They'll get in there and sit on the property. As you'll see as we go a little further, you'll see beer cans, you'll see other things that have been dumped in the property. All of that is a health problem and a safety problem. It tends to draw people that are transient and they can be violent. Some of them have mental problems, and they just are attracted to a house such as this. It's abandoned, and you can see that it's been boarded up by the city at one time or another to prevent entry if possible. Once again, the beer cans, the litter, and so forth that's been dumped on here, all of that's in violation of the public nuisance codes that we're asked to enforce. As you can see, the city has boarded this house up, and somebody's already taken the board down and probably made entry in there to get out of the rain, to get out of sight. Just people that do not belong in there. And it's just not a good thing to have people that are transient, that are possibly mentally ill. Just any kind of number of bad scenarios can come with the unsecured house. It would be addressed by notifying the owners, giving them a certain amount of time to get the repairs made. It's a criminal violation if they don't, and they can be filed on in municipal court. There are other avenues that they can be addressed in throughout the city. People tend to go out here. They see a vacant house, either from the front or from the back. They know there's nobody around, so they'll start dumping cars. They'll dump litter. You'll see building scraps that get dumped that have nothing to do with the property itself. People just notice that it's a vacant house. It's an opportunity for them to discard their junk and their litter rather than doing it in the way it was meant to be done. The reason these ordinances are in place is we're trying to enforce these ordinances in order to have some equality in the neighborhood. If you have a nice home in a nice neighborhood, all it takes is one property like this where everything is too high. The structures are in terrible and horrible condition. They're not secured. All of this is going to affect the quality of life to all the neighbors. All it takes is one property that's like this, and it's going to detract from the neighborhood. It's going to detract from the property values. It's going to detract from the quality of life. Probably most importantly, it's going to also be a dangerous situation especially for small kids, but for everybody that's in the neighborhood.
For a comprehensive list of city ordinances regarding private property maintenance, please visit cityofgalveston.org.
I don't think any officer goes home at night and says, wow, what a fun day I had. But you can have a gratifying day, knowing you've accomplished something, or if you've helped an elderly citizen, that she's been alone and no one takes care of her, and you find out she's been living in this house by herself, and we work with church groups and they can help paint a house or clean something up on occasion.
We're not out here trying to pick on anybody. We're just trying to get people to abide by some simple codes in order to improve the lifestyle for everybody and make it a nicer neighborhood for everybody to live in. It's not, these are extreme cases we're showing, but if people just keep their grass cut, keep the litter out of their yards, clean up in the alleys that they're responsible for behind their houses and in front of their houses and so forth. If they can just eliminate that, they won't even know we're around. That's the whole goal of the Code Enforcement Division. It is to keep the neighborhoods in a reasonably orderly fashion and to keep the place cleaned up and improve the quality of life for entire neighborhoods and not just let one or two properties bring the whole neighborhood down.